Welcome, beautiful ones. Welcome to this global live healing. My name is Hannah from Reality Awareness. If you guys don't know me, if this is your first time to my live stream, please let me know because this is a very special live stream. This is a very, it's going to be quite big, deep. If you have worked with me before, you'll get an understanding, you'll have a sense of what it's going to be like. Hey guys, welcome. This is going to be one powerful, this will be like a ceremony, guys. This will be like a live meditation. Now, there will be some things, let me share this, right? And then I'll go through what we need to do, what we will do, all of that, right? So, for those of you who are being called here today, hey Greg, I want you to be aware that you wouldn't be here for no reason. Hey Nita, hey Danny. If you've been called here for this live global healing, it is for a strong reason. You do have a big part in this, and I'll explain that in just a moment. Let me just share this. Let's get this out to the world. People, everybody needs to hear this morning, so please give me some love hearts. Please share it. This is going to be one powerful Let's Rock This World live stream to help heal and shift. It feels like a cleaning up space, to be honest, like of what has been coming through this morning, and I'll share that with you in a moment. Oh, a little bit nervous. When I tell people, about going like live and, doing your thing, doesn't mean that you never get nervous. Like, you just turn up and do it anyway, right? So I'm excited. You do, Alina, and that is for good reason. Yeah, you always catch me live on the land healing. Yes, there is a strong reason for that. Love it. Okay. All right, let me pop that one in. Okay, we are live, guys. Hey, Christy, Kylie, Emma, Aurora. Thanks, Rachel. Okay. All right, that bit's sorted. The tech stuff is sorted. Now, let me go through a rough idea what we're doing, so you know what to expect as well. But then it's also tapping into a space where this is like a ceremony. This is like it's a live healing, right? It's a live global land and earth healing, clearing, awakening humanity, all of that jazz. Now, hey Alexandra. So if you don't have a glass of water or a cup of tea or wherever you are in the world, grab especially some water, because everything that comes through in this global land healing, if you've got a big bottle of water or a big jar of water, is energetically going into this water, and then you can also drink this water. So it's almost like we are programming water. Now, if you have some crystals that you feel called to have in the space as well, if you want to light some candles safely, this is like a ceremonial healing. It is a very powerful space. So the more of you that are setting up little spaces like this, the more power this is going to have. So you can take a couple of minutes if you want to quickly run and grab some stuff if you don't already, to have and hold this space, right? So I won't technically start for a little bit. I just want to go through some couple of things because this is a bit of a different live stream. This is something that I only usually do in my private groups, like the full moon ceremony or in Trust Your Intuition. I also did a land and earth healing in it was the end of November we did that, and it was a very intuitive call. Same with this as well. So it'll be interesting to see what comes through, right? Thanks, Kristen. Hey, Deborah. Okay, awesome. There is some, obviously, people on the line who are in my private groups. I thank you for turning up and being here to help hold this space, especially if you're in the full moon ceremony yesterday, because what flowed through in the full moon ceremony and then what's coming through like today, I was just like, okay, makes sense, right? Why you guys are here. Okay. So let me give you a bit of a rundown how this kind of works, yeah? It's in this space of like full intuitive flow. I'm gonna start by sharing a little bit of my personal story, and this is, even when I was getting ready, I was just like, why do I need to share that? And then it all kept coming through. And then even this morning when I was journaling, it was all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do a live stream on that. And it was like, no, you did it on this live stream. I was like, oh, that makes sense, all right? Hey, Kelly. Hi, everybody is here. It's awesome. Sarah, hi, Tammy. Okay. So let me tap into this with you guys. Just going to make sure these comments keep coming up. So, oh, you've got a tornado warning. How interesting. Because I was getting the message too. I'm like, so in about, what was the message? Oh, about 3 weeks, we'll start seeing the effects of this, is the message I got when I was getting ready. Okay, Shari, welcome everybody. All right, so as I said, you can create a little sacred space. Hey, Monique. Hey, Tammy. Your crystals. I've got some essential oils, got some sage, got some stuff happening here. Cards, of course. All ready for this space. Okay, so I'm going to drop into this space. Now, this is also, if you haven't worked with me before, this will give you a taste of pretty much like how I work, what I do, what you experience, and the depth we go to. Hey Judy, Ricky. So in this space, it is like, it gives you a taste of almost like a distance healing, because what I'm pretty much doing is a land and earth healing, which is like a distance healing, right? Okay, a little bit nervous. So I'm just going to talk about my personal story, and that's going to lead us into, because this is what they showed me to do, which is so interesting, because you know how I said my eye the other day, right? This third eye stuff when I did that third eye live stream, and then my eye. And even this morning I woke up and I'm like, what is that about? And I looked in this, like in the book, as I do, and I'm actually going to turn this around so we're ready in case I need to pull cards and show you guys later whilst we are in the midst of the healing. So let me just prepare that bit. I didn't do that bit. I forgot about that before. So this is the secret language of the body and the eyes, right? So for me, I've had this right eye thing, like, I don't know, it's like red in my eye, and I never get this stuff, right? Yes, I've been on this kind of detox healing thing, but I never get things, right? And I was like tuning into it even yesterday after the full moon ceremony, and I was like, what is this going on for me? Like, I was just like dropping deep into it, and I've had like a lot of masculine stuff coming through, like I'm healing the masculine on a really deep core level, and obviously the right side is masculine, right? And the right eye says blocking the flow of abundance and prosperity, experiencing challenges in your relationships, not seeing how you can change this situation, holding on to pain from the past and projecting it into the future, making excuses and finding reasons why things won't work, irritated with yourself and others. Now, I was like, when I read this just this morning, I was like, well, that's how I used to be. I used to be holding on to pain from the past and projecting it into the future. So meaning, and it was interesting because I was driving along the other day and I was like, what is this eye thing? It's been here for like about a week now, right? And I'm like, okay, what's this about? And I even got the message. I was like, oh, here we go, taking the rose-colored glasses off. And this is like a deep healing. And I know I'm talking about my personal stuff, but this is relating to the patriarchal on the planet at the moment as well. So you know how Notre Dame just burnt down, well, not fully, but you know, there was all the flames, and it's like, yes, the patriarchal control is crumbling, yeah? And with this thing, it's like, if we look at this from a bigger perspective too, I bet I woke up tomorrow morning and this will be gone. Anyway, so it's just a little thing. Holding on to pain from the past and projecting it into the future, making excuses and finding reasons why things won't work. And this is interesting, right? It's kind of like irritated with yourself and others. Like, this is how I used to be. And even when I'm letting it go, yes. And this is where I feel like this is coming out, because even with this diet change has been really huge for me. But this, when we look at the masculine and the patriarchal and what we're healing, and it's interesting because this other thing that I want to talk about, and again, I was going to do a separate live stream, and then when I was getting ready, they're like, no, you talk about it today, because this is what's going on the earth. This is, you know, when we look at dropping into doing the intuitive work, when we do the, you know, if you are sensitive, if you are conscious, if you are aware, you will notice you feel the effects of the planets, and you know, you're like, oh, you read astrology or stuff, and it's like, oh, that's what's going on, right? It relates to the collective consciousness, and it also relates to your personal life. It's not that there's something wrong with you. It's not that there's something, you know, going on. It's, do you know what I mean? It's that this is a global healing. Like, what is within us is out there too. And when we work on our own stuff, then that shifts in the collective too, or vice versa. I mean, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Will we ever really know, right? So you've had pain in your back and heart area, hearing your heart chakra and letting it go. Yeah, interesting, right? Because the heart, the ears, the heart, and the base chakra are all interconnected, yeah? The ears are deeply feminine and receiving. Hey guys, I see you joining live. So this is where I drop into the other bit that I want to talk about. So thanks for bringing that up, right? And this is like the ears, the heart, the base. The ears are deeply feminine, yeah? And I'm really passionate about working with the chakras in your body, starting from the crown and coming down. Why? Because our soul needs to ground into our body. So many of us are cut off from our heart, and we're all living in fear, deep base chakra, because we don't trust spirit, we don't trust people, we don't trust ourselves, we don't trust anything, right? So in this space, you've got, so the ears, yeah, as I said, are deeply feminine. So when we open up, yeah, to start listening to our intuition, this is a receiving energy, yeah? And our ear chakras have been missed in eons of society. You know, if you think back to where the chakras and everything stem from, you know, like, I don't really know. Is it India? Is it past yoga teaching? Is it, you know, where is it, right? So, and they start, as you guys know, like, and I'm going to call it old and new consciousness just for an ease of explaining. I'm not going to, like, it's not like, I don't like using labels. If you know me, I don't like using labels, but for the sake of this live stream, I'm going to use labels to explain energy, consciousness, da-da-da. So the old consciousness is we start from the base chakra and we come up, right? Whereas I'm passionate about teaching from the crown coming down, because we need to ground in our body. We are no longer reaching up to spirit and it's like, oh, heaven's up there and it's someplace we go and we leave our body to receive information. Fuck no. Right? We come down into our body to be grounded. We do not need to travel anywhere to receive our intuitive information. We do not need to go any place other than right here to travel to distant lands. It's so interesting. This global healing will show you exactly that, right? Now, the ears and opening to receive, right? This has been missed in society. So if we're working from the crown coming down, we're not only starting to feel safe in our body, because our base chakra is life purpose. We need to feel safe. We need to feel secure. And if we don't, we are not going to be grounded in our body. Our soul hovers above our head. There's so much fear, pain. We don't want to feel the hurt in our heart. So we're not grounded. There's so many people walking around with their heads cut off and their soul is hanging up here. And there's all this spiritual bypassing going on in the spiritual communities, because nobody wants to feel the truth. They're like, this is all roses, and then they're like, oh shit, feeling all the grief and pain. Now the thing with opening to receive is that we need to feel safe. The crown, like the chakras, have a masculine feminine balance, right? Each chakra has a masculine and feminine within each of it, yeah? But within, you know, the chakras in general, they kind of have more of a polarity than the other. So the crown is feminine. The third eye is masculine. The ears is feminine. The throat is masculine. The heart is feminine. The solar plexus is masculine. The sacral is feminine. The base is masculine. Right? Now, when we look at it like that, again, they've both got masculine and feminine, but overall, there's a definite in-out flow of the masculine and feminine balance. This is feminine. Our ears look like our ovaries, our whole reproductive system. Yeah, it's like a mirror image almost. Yeah, and when we open to receive love, money, all of that. And it's interesting, I was talking about this the other day, I feel like I'm repeating myself, right? But this is important for what we're about to do with this global live healing, okay? This is, and the feminine, and again, this is something else I've been talking about with my clients over and over, and yeah, so this is obviously a time for healing it in the collective. If we look at the ears like flowers, or we look at our ovaries like flowers, okay? They need to be open. Now, when we really drop down into the real energetics of masculine and feminine receiving, now this is about receiving if you've got a block to anything in your life, whether it's money, love, career, trying to manifest a home, whatever you're trying to manifest, because the base chakra is mainly masculine, yeah, as I just said, right? Now, when we look at the base chakra, it's your physical reality, it's taking action, it's your life purpose, it's like, let's go, okay? It's an action thing. So we need to be grounded in our body to even put that into action. We receive the ideas, the intuition, it feels right, we take action, we action it. We birth reality through our base chakra. It's where we have babies. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a very physical place in our body the base chakra represents. Now, when we work with these chakras, right, and our ears, so when we look at this, we're starting to open up to receive. We're like, oh, I feel safe. But if we do not feel safe with the masculine, if there is any sort of fear in the patriarchal, right, and we look at the whole eons have gone by. So this is reflected in your own life, but it's also represented in all the eons gone by, yeah? The witch hunts, no, you can't be that way. No, you need to change what you're saying. So if we look at the chakras, the throat is like a saying something, okay? It's a voicing a truth. The heart is feminine. So when we look at, we're going down through the feminine, masculine, right? When we look at the heart, it's like, oh, I feel like this and I'm emotional. And the voice is like, no, you can't feel that way. So immediately they're cut off, right? And then this is there. So we're talking about kind of two people, but also on a general huge collective space, yeah? Patriarchal, matriarchal. So when we look at the ears and we start to open up, and as I said, like, your ovaries, so say for example someone can't have a baby, like fertility stuff, the ovaries are closed, right? They might still receive a penis into the vagina, yeah? And I'm talking like, and I'm saying like this because this is right at the core, yeah? But when we look at it on a manifesting level, yeah, so say let's talk about money, right? We need to be open to receive, represented as our ovary, we need to be able to catch it, yeah? The penis, the sperm needs to be able to come into, well, the egg, the ovary, right? Come in there, and then we hold it with gentle love, right? And then all this amazing stuff happens in the Fibonacci sequence of blah, 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 right? If we're trying to manifest money, we're like, yes, 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 we're doing these things, right? We're putting our intuitive guidance and ideas into action, base chakra, yeah? Represented as the penis, represented as the masculine doing. But if we don't completely trust, the masculine, because in the past they've hurt us, because in the past there's been all this patriarchal control, like, do you know what I mean, like it's then this is going to be closed. And I feel like what is happening on the planet now is that we're starting to heal the masculine in a sense of learning to be safe in our bodies. Yeah, we also can't manifest if we're not grounded in our body all the way down, and we've healed why we don't feel safe in the first place. Yeah, so this whole patriarchal like control is starting to crumble because the goddess is remembering that actually, no, and this is where I'm saying the matriarchal's rising. It's not that we're overtaking, it's that the feminine is coming back into balance so we can feel safe, so this can happen, and the whole Fibonacci sequence. Now, if you can imagine that, right, in a sense of what that's going to do for the world and human consciousness and humanity evolving and all of that. Right? When we work on healing the masculine, right? Now that's within ourselves, that's what's happening on a global scale. We're going, do you know what? This control and all this abuse and all this stuff is not okay. And I'm not just saying like, it's you men, because women who are deep in their masculine role can be really abusive as well. And I'm putting my hand up because I used to be that person. Okay? So it's like gender is not like, oh, the men are bad in the world. That's not what I'm saying. I'm like, if you've got a masculine dominance within yourself, this is what you need to look at if you're having trouble receiving, okay? Okay, so for whatever reason, I need to say that. So when we're like dropping into this space here, and this is where I was saying the other day, I'm so curious like about the chakras of the world, and I'm like, where is the ear chakras? And this is why I'm passionate about teaching about coming down, because we need to bring the awareness to the ears. In the old consciousness, old chakra system, whatever, the ears are not there, right? It jumps straight from throat to here, like, like this, like masculine is like, whoops, we've missed a bit of the feminine, which is deeply receiving, which is relating to how we're receiving, which is relating to receiving anything on the planet, right? So I just wanted to share that bit. For whatever reason, I need to do that. You've had headaches today. Yep. Anxiety. Lots of pain in your head, face. Yeah, interesting, yeah? Burnt out last year. Yeah, difficult to open to receive. Yeah, so it's about feeling safe in the masculine, feeling safe in your body, feeling safe in all of that, yeah? Okay, so just checking the comments here. Awesome. All right. Let's drop into this, guys. So if you are in my Trust Intuition group already, if you have attended my full moon ceremonies, I am also calling upon you guys, because I know you guys know this kind of what we do in this space, even though it's all intuitive. What was I going to say? I was going to say something else. All right, let's start this. So I'm just going to explain how this kind of works. Yes, thanks, Selena. Yeah, so you can send me a message if you'd like more information about how to be in them. They're my private groups. Trust Intuition is open, by the way. The doors to Trust Intuition is where we trust our intuition, is where all these healing tools are, how you can become a certified intuitive healer, so you can step up and start doing this work with the certification, meaning you can run a legitimate business with insurance and all that jazz. And actually have a system of healing, even though it's intuitive. It gives you, well, this is how we do it, right? Rather than just like, oh, I sense all this energy and I cut cords and I don't really know what I'm doing. Actually, here's a kind of systematic structure if you're being called to do this sort of work. And then obviously you can put that into anything, distance healings, lands healings, all of that. Okay, so those who are also holding the space with me, I thank you. And how this works is, it might seem like I'm not doing it, right? But this is how my intuition works, okay? And this is how it happens. This is how we make it a normal part of our reality. This is how we make it like we are the meditation, we are the healing, we are that, and we become that high vibrational being who enables that, who you don't even, do you know what I mean? Like, you sense energy for a reason. You wouldn't do that if you didn't. So I just put the link to Trust Intuition in there. It's pinned to the top, guys, so you can check that out. The super early bird is open. I was going to open it at the end of the month, and then after all this intuitive healing stuff came through, I'm like, right, it's like, just got the nudge to open it. So anyway, that's there. So let's start this. Now, I picked up the other day that we're starting in Africa. And I'm sensing, and again, I'm just going to bring up a map here, because this is how it works. So let me just bring my keyboard over here, because I was picking this up the other day. I'm just bringing up a map of the world just to help this space. Okay, because I was picking out, all right, to start. Okay, let's go. Yeah, that's interesting about the feeling ungrounded and stuff. West Africa, yes. So around Morocco, right? And I'll just start there, because it felt like, and I know diamonds are mined there. I know, well, I think somebody said gold is mined there, but this is not about this. And when we look at the liquid crystals and working with the energetics, so the crystals are all around the earth. If I miss your comments, guys, too, by the way, I'll check them later. Once I get into flow, I'll just intuitively see what comments I need to see in the moment. So crystals are found all around the world, right? And there's certain places around the world where there's larger amounts of the crystal, but they're also found all around the world. And with that, we're going to start connecting these energetic grids around the place, okay? So starting in Africa, and again, I don't know these things, is what's coming through intuitively. So kind of like, I got under Morocco, but it's like Algeria, I'm just looking on the map, Mali, Libya, like all under that kind of area. I feel like there's a big space of gold. And I also feeling like there is so it's almost like under the earth, there's gold, right? We're talking about crystals, minerals, gems, all this sort of thing. Bless the rains down in Africa, yeah. Okay, and so with this space, I can feel that there is gold under there. Now, whether that's just an energetic or physical, I don't know, okay? But I'm picking up gold, but so underneath is like the earth, then there's all this black, and then there's gold underneath. Now, gold is a very regenerative and restorative mineral. Yeah, it is something that heals systems. Yeah, it's something about that. So now, as I'm talking about this, as I said, there's the gold and there's all this black. Now, I can sense that's kind of like water, and I don't know whether, again, it's physical water or whether that's the energetics that I'm picking up that is like a liquid, but it's black, okay? And this is what I do in my distance healings. It's kind of like, yes, we can call upon Archangel Michael of 100% light to clear this. However, what I've also learned in my distance healings, the more I've been doing them since September last year, is that just by having awareness and just being with this, it starts shifting the energy of it, right? And this is where we are the healer. We are holding that presence into the space. Now, as I am doing this, guys, if you guys are getting intuition, if I say something and you're like, oh, I know this about that place, or intuitively you get a message about this place, I want you to comment on here, because the more of us that are tuning into this energy, the more of us that are being present with, say, this black, and I can already see that it started to shift, right? So under this place, and I'm talking about, this is a big area of land that, you know, I just put on the map there that I said, this is where I'm sensing. It's like that whole top West Africa space, under Nigeria, even down as far as, yeah, like Nigeria, Mali, excuse me if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. Where's this accent coming from already? So is it Burkina Faso, like Guinea, Senegal, again, I don't know the pronunciation, but underneath all that area there's this big black, but it's starting to shift, right? And now it looks like, it's diamond water. Like, that's the kind of clarity that's starting to come out. Is that whose accent I'm picking up? I can feel it all starting to come through. Okay. So yeah, so please feel free to comment, and, you know, whatever intuition bits come through for you guys too, okay? So I can already feel that that's already started to change. It looks like diamond water, and I guess that this is the clarity of it starting to shift. And this is what I mean. We can be like, yes, Archangel Michael, 100% light, can you please clear this energy? But when we just sit with darkness, it shifts. Why? Because energy is always moving. Everything is energy, and it's always moving, it's always shifting, it's always changing, yeah? We don't need to do anything masculine, but be present, feminine, with what is being presented to us and hold space for it, okay? Powerful healings, yeah? So I'm just gonna read this bit of gold, and by the way, so as I've just said this, and this is how my healings work, as I've said, you know, there's gold underneath, there's black here, and then there's the earth, and now it's shifted to diamond colored water. When I start talking about other things, what I've just said about that place in the land in Africa is still going on, right? And it's still the, you know, gold underneath, it's still the diamond water, and it's still the earth on top. Until that changes, you'll find that I'll be talking about other things, and then as soon as it shifts, that's when I'll talk about it. So until then, that healing's still going on, right? We've entered a very powerful space right now. We are in that, yeah? Yeah, on red soil, yeah. Is that the color of the soil through Africa there? I honestly don't know. So that's still going on, as I said. I'm just feeling called to read gold from the liquid crystals. So gold is a metal of regeneration, vitality, and power. On some level, you have depleted yourself, leaving an open door for stress and negativity. Now, I know that there's obviously a lot of violence and all of that through Africa. It's got a very black, heavy energy, right? So I'm getting the message to a lot of slaughters. And obviously, yes, that happens in past lives, and there's a lot of slaughters in a lot of places in the world, but I feel like that's still going on now. Cold red diamond. Yeah, blood red diamonds, is that something? Blood diamonds, because, yeah, I remember. Yeah, it is red soil. Okay, because that's where we were in the full moon ceremony yesterday. It is that. Okay, we were in desert stuff. How interesting. I knew it was already coming through from the other day. Okay, it's interesting, yeah? So on some level, you have depleted yourself, leaving an open door for stress and negativity. It's time to recharge and take time for self-review your goals and let your potential shine as the guiding light in choice. Nothing is out of your reach when you are inward, whole, and revitalized. Through physicality, it's easy to forget your blinding light. Now, yesterday, all that came through in the full moon ceremony was blinding light. And this is so interesting, right? Review your goals and let your potential shine as the guiding light in choice. Nothing is out of your reach when you are inward as the guiding light of choice. So when we have come into physicality, we have projected an aspect of our consciousness into human form, right? And we kind of, as we're in a womb and then we come out, which is a masculine thing. And then it's almost like through a journey of evolution of human consciousness, we are remembering to come back inside. And then when we die, it's like we go back into the womb or something. Okay, again, this is just coming through. The sun, you got the sun yesterday. I remember, Alina. Oh, it's the center of the earth. That was also coming up, wasn't it? And interesting, right? So when we're looking at healing Africa right now and the energy that's there, when we look at this, you've depleted yourself, leaving an open door for stress and negativity. So someone said to me the other day that, I think it was you, Emma, you said that Africa was the birthplace of humanity. Now, I have no idea, right? So I'm just curious about that. And if that is the truth, then if you can imagine, for example, Africa being an energy that's been pulsating out humans for how long, okay? For example, let's just say this. So it's pulsating humans out of the womb for all of humanity, time, yeah? Humans on this earth. If that's the case, you have depleted yourself, leaving an open door for stress and negativity. We all know that we burn out when we are constantly giving and giving and giving and giving, yeah? And then it becomes into this like resentful. And then we're like, everything is like becomes scarcity because we don't really want to give. And then it's this thing. So if we look at that into what, is going on around, like the depth of Africa and, I'm going to use the blood diamond example. I know there's more stuff going on than that, but for that example, right? Scientists have said that. Yeah, interesting. Okay. That humanity started there. Nothing is out of your reach when you are inward, whole, and revitalized. Though through physicality, it's easy to forget your blinding light. So we were in this womb, we've come out, right? When we look at it on a healing, feminine, healing, when I was talking the other day and I got about the hips and it's about feeling resentful and giving and giving and giving and not giving to yourself, right? Yeah, I've heard that too. Someone said the future is in Africa. I've heard that. And it's interesting because apparently the gold, I'm assuming, apparently Africa is one of the richest countries, right? Financially, but you wouldn't see that, right? And apparently it's all going to come out or something, right? And if we look at it from this aspect, gold, it feels so strong under Africa. I have no idea. But if we look at gold is actually a very masculine type energy, right? And we look at silver, it's a very feminine energy. So it's interesting that if gold was the birthplace of humanity, if Africa is the birthplace of humanity and Africa is the birthplace of humanity and gold is sitting underneath that, right? And then we look at, so it's like, as I was saying before at the start, the masculine, the penis needs to penetrate the feminine for it to, put a sperm in the egg. Do you know what I mean? Like for that to even happen. So if gold is sitting under the surface and Africa is the earth, is the woman, earth is the woman, earth is the birth of what comes out and what also returns to her, yeah, which is the death, the rebirth, that whole cycle of why we even shed, and bleed every month, right? It's like the gold is penetrating the feminine, birthing that. But it's almost like, okay, so has gold been mined there for too long and it's been depleted, or has it just been open for too long? That portal, let's say, for example, that portal in Africa has been open for too long. This is just coming through intuitively. I don't know this stuff, okay? If that has been open for too long, and so now she is feeling depleted. Now she is feeling angry and resentful because she has been giving and giving and giving humans for ages, right? When that has come in, yeah, the rebirth of Earth, how interesting. Africa has been raped of resources for so long. Its people have taken into the slave ships, entire country. Yes, exactly, right? Enough, too much, resentful, right? And all the, it's getting covered in goosebumps, truth bumps. This is, okay. So what has just shifted? So now I said the gold underneath the now diamond water, it's not black anymore. The gold is starting to infiltrate into that, I'm going to call it water, but I don't know if it's water, if it's just representative of the energy that's flowing through there. That's not black anymore. It moved to diamond color water. It's that clear. And now the diamond, the gold is infiltrating into that water beneath the land, the energy, whatever that was. Okay, sorry guys, I didn't explain this bit. If I start burping, coughing, anything like that, I'm clearing the energy of the space, okay, of the land. So I just can start feeling it shifting into that, because if that black, what was black before the earth, so just under the earth that was black, if that is representative in a woman's sheath of her, you know, where we shed every month, right? We bleed every month. If that black stuff was representative of that, that's starting to, okay, so when a woman menstruates, right, what the blood is it's actually the, you know, oh my goodness, the womb and everything shedding all the old stuff of the past month, okay? And then if, imagine if this black was representative of that shedding of her womb, and that's why there's been all this bloodshed and stuff for so long. I'd be so curious to know timelines of when Africa started. I know that's like the weirdest question, right? I just Googling that question. Beginning, okay. Out of Africa, dispersal of modern humans. The origin of anatomical modern humans has been the focus. The more you move away from that center of diversity where you started. What's this about? We are solely the children of Africa, with no Neanderthals or island-dwelling hobbits in our family tree, according to a new study. We are solely the children of Africa. Oh yeah, I read that bit. Scientists who compared the skulls and DNA of human remains from around the world say their results point to the modern humans, Homo sapiens, having a single origin in Africa. The study didn't find any evidence to suggest that human species living elsewhere in the world contributed to our direct ancestors' makeup. A team, I just scanning through, seeing what it says. These early humans colonized the planet after spreading out of the continent some 50,000 years ago. So that's interesting. So I'd need to see, like, you know how you can see the timeline of like humanity and stuff? Like, you know how it goes through the different civilizations? I know I've looked at that thing before. This is, I was just reading that from the National Geographic website. Actually, that's what came up when I Googled that. Okay, let's just have a quick look here. What did I just say then? 50,000 years ago. Cultural evolution. Oh. 30,000 years ago. Yeah, so interesting, right? I guess what I'm trying to figure out, and I don't really know, and what I guess I'm sensing, right, is when we're looking at it's not a straight line. as it's been coming through really strongly in the past couple of days, is the spiral on the Fibonacci sequence, right? And we're expanding out, and consciousness is actually expanding out into evolution of light rather than being a pinpoint spiral into darkness. We're coming out of the darkness into light, right? And it's not just it's not a straight line. It's not flat. It's like it's moving forward type thing, and it's expanding forward as it's doing that. Yeah. So the message that I was getting is like, if we can imagine like that birthing. So, okay, relating to the shedding of the, like the bloodshed and stuff in Africa represented as that black, which is not there anymore. And by the way, that just happened then, so I went a little bit quiet because I could feel it and see it. The gold underneath is infiltrating into that water, the diamond water, like going in through veins, almost like the trees, and almost into, you know how like a tree grabs the water and the root system. It's almost like the gold's doing that, but it's coming up into that water. And so as that, and I'm talking about crystals like that in a sense that this is like gold heals, like all crystals heal, right? And this is what's in our earth. Yeah. Yes, the continents were joined at one time. Something just fell off your shelf. Of course it did. You and the things happening like that. Yeah, your grandpa pretty much bought her. Yeah, interesting, right? Yeah, if you want to carry is both. I do it too when I need to. Clean, clear water is liquid gold to many Africans. Of course it is. America is seeing the return to its power in Africa. Powerful things happening in America connect back to the core of Africa. Yeah. Yep, and I'm probably going to lose followers about this, but this is all stemming from Donald Trump being in the thingo, right? In that thing, politics. You can see I don't really connect with that stuff, right? But he has a big, everyone hates him, but like exactly what you just said, Carrie. The end to racism and the end to world war. War. Yeah, world war. The living water. Okay, so that gold is still like, and so as I just said, the gold, so as I said, it still happens, even though I'm talking about other things, and when it starts shifting more, I'll tell you guys. So as I just said, it's like tree roots of the gold coming into that water. And now it's actually like filling up like from the bottom, like the gold is actually filling into the diamond water, if you may, while the other roots are still raising up. The thickness into the earth of what I'm talking about, I don't really know. I don't really know, but I can feel and see it as if I was looking at the earth being flat. And that's what I'm seeing. But it's interesting. I'm only really sensing this. I know we're talking about the whole of Africa, but I'm only really sensing it around this top part, western part. You know how Africa kind of goes up and then there's a bit that hangs off the side. It's almost like it's kind of only just that I'm sensing it's only happening underneath this bit for whatever reason. I'm not sure, but that's what's happening here. The energy of life. Yep. You may have missed the full moon ceremony, but it makes sense why you're obsessed with Egypt and Africa. Yeah, all its resources being taken, and this is where I feel like on a collective thing. What is it exactly that's falling off, Alina? That feels important. America is apparently the new world. Yeah. I think we all are, actually. Who knows? Like, who really knows, right? Everyone wants to claim that from a political thing, I guess. We're not tolerating political corruption anymore. Yes, America is waking up. Accountability is happening in all ways. Yes. Yep. We're seeing structures fall away. We sure are. In the shower. So something fell off the shelf in the shower. Everything is crumbling and falling away. Things are falling off the shelf because the vibration of the new structures cannot hold the crap on top. I don't mean it's crap, right? But it's, yeah. And it's interesting, face cleanser for all skin types. What came through the other day around the makeup and this mask and stuff? In the past 2 live streams, I was speaking about that. That Trump will be assassinated. I'm sure there's many people that want to do that for sure. I think anyone in power has that risk. Do you think it's all going to erupt volcano or something spiritually in the focus world beyond Africa? If we heal Africa, we will heal the world. Who knows? Who knows what these healings do? Again, that gold, I'm just sensing is almost like kind of 1/2 to 3/4, and the roots of the gold are kind of coming up into the earth now. There's still a little bit of water there that the gold is filling up, infiltrating into. As we're just sitting here in this space, please know this is what kind of happens. Because Emma, when you said that, is it going to be a volcano or something spiritually? Like, who knows? Like, I can't tell you that. I just do the work. I just do the healings. Because when we did that one in America, so the healing that I'm doing like now that I only did in my private group in November, I felt called to do that, and what intuitively came through, as I said, was all under like New Orleans and Mississippi, and through all the Mississippi burnings and the witch hunt stuff and everything, and then it kind of went through New Orleans, and there was this stuff under New Orleans, like all this, almost like a whole nother city underneath New Orleans in a way, right? And we kind of went down there, and there was all this healing work we did, and then it's like, and then all of a sudden it just like it just dropped, went underneath New Orleans, went underneath the ocean, and came up like Atlantis. And then all this stuff like came through about Atlantis, and we kind of redid some like history writing and everything around there. And then lo and behold, Atlantis was rising, you know, between Christmas and New Year. If you followed me, you would have felt that real strong pull to Atlantis. And then Lemuria's been really strong recently. So it's interesting when we look at that healing, and then Atlantis rose, and if we look at the USA and the out of balance power and all the shit that's going on, I mean, I know that's everywhere in the world, but that was a big focus in November, and Atlantis had the same sort of power, power threshold imbalance, for example, and that's why Atlantis fell. But the story is that Lemuria was the birthplace before the power went corrupt, before, you know, whatever happened, and it sunk, and everyone shifted to Atlantis, and that's where the power imbalance happened, because people were, whatever the story is, right? So it's interesting that Lemuria has been really present in the past couple of weeks, and that was the birthplace before Atlantis, and now we're doing a land healing on Africa. You guys feeling the depth of this or what? Yeah. It's gold and Atlantean dragon. How interesting. Yep. Thanks for that, Elena. Right. Helps you to remember this wisdom of gold and Atlantis. Yeah, isn't it interesting, right? And this is like that space of it. Oh, because the story of Lemuria, I just freaking read this the other day in the Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life. Maybe that's why they showed it to me. I haven't picked up that book for ages, right? Let me have a read. Oh, so that gold has just reached the land now. That, it just filled up. So the water is now full of gold, almost like liquid gold, but it seems a more stable liquid than the diamond water that it was. And those roots of the gold are now coming through the earth, and now that's like hit the earth point where the land is, and the gold's like now starting to fill up that. Does that make sense? So the gold roots are coming up through the top there. I bet you I won't be able to find the page. I'm just trying to look for it. I'm just going to talk about it. So like Lemuria, so they left Lemuria long before it sunk because they already knew it was going to sink. So they moved their civilization to what then became Atlantis. Interesting that we just found out that Africans started, you know, moving from their continent, but it's almost like they didn't move their whole tribe, of course, right? So a little bit different, but same. And because like they're still there, it's still being raped, which is interesting when we look at the definition of rape. It's giving your power away, is being violated, is all of that, right? It's almost like Africa's been in a bleeding menstrual cycle for, there's enough shedding done now. She's ready to have a clean slate, which is what happens. Oh, the evolution of consciousness, like we're moving into the age of Aquarius, right? The light bringer. Is this why her womb is being cleaned to birth a new space? Many, many witches, even children, they believe are witches, have and are still being killed in Africa. A lot of very old witchcraft is still around there. Yes, thank you for sharing that, Delth, because one of my clients actually had mentioned that it's still very ripe and a lot of people are scared of it. So very interesting. Excuse me, burping. It's just all coming out. I can feel it. It's probably because it's hit the land. Gold mining days now here in Australia, and now you're speaking of gold and blood diamonds and basically stealing the land's resources. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and isn't it interesting, Leonie, when, like, if we say, look at the gold towns of Australia, like, say, for example, around Kubapidi area in South Australia, and a lot of that is deserted now, but the Indigenous cultures are ripe with rage and anger and all of that. So it's the same thing with the Indigenous all around. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Oh, and what just came to mind is that there is a big ET station. Most of South Australia, in Australia, is sectioned off as military base. You are not allowed, I think it's like, I don't know, from memory, 60 or 70% of South Australia, you are not allowed to go in there because it's a full, huge, like, we're talking massive, like, state, yeah? It's sectioned off as military base. You're not allowed to go in there, right? Why is that? And then a couple of weeks ago, Kelly Bryant, you'll remember this, I was speaking to you directly in the Reality Awareness support group about it, of when, like, and I was getting all those messages a couple of weeks ago around the North and South poles, right? And they're actually like sections, doorways, portals to come into the center of the earth. And then there's like military bases around the world that are actually like UFO landing places, you know, in a section of, and then I Googled that and found a photo of it from Google Maps that had come up in my search, you know, around, and I was like, oh my God, that's in South Australia. I'm like, wow, you know. Yeah, it is an awful feeling. Probably need to do some land earth healing, and while I've just been talking about that, I didn't say that bit, so, and I knew this was going to happen at some point in this healing, is that, so it's almost like what we've just done in Africa is still happening. It's still coming through the land, as we've been talking. That hasn't changed. It's still slowly rising through that space, and it's almost like I just saw like a little while ago. I see it and I talk about it later. So from Africa, there's like a gold band, but it's interesting, it's coming up and it's actually coming into where we just started talking about in South Australia. Thank you for bringing that up, Leonie, because that's why you were like, I was just meditating. For some reason, I was back in the gold banding days. It's like, yes, thank you for supporting this land earth healing. So whatever's happening there, and it's interesting, right? Because I would have thought that it would have come underneath the earth or a direct line, but it's actually come up through the others, through the field of the earth above, and it's kind of dropped down. So when we look at this flower of life, right, in 3D space, and it's so interesting that I was guided to use the earth and the flower of life over the top of it to promote this live global healing. This is like the gold band coming across. So it's one of these. We have just healed, reconnected one of these. Yeah. maybe it's more, but I just saw one. You know, like when you see like a plane, you know, like a plane, you see their maps, like an airplane, and you see their maps of like their flight routes, and it's like, looks like a curve. That's what I just saw from where we're healing in Africa into South Australia there. So interesting that gold is really coming through too for this earth healing. Yeah, really interesting. Your daughter is named Africa. Of course she is. Ethiopia is the oldest independent country in the world, 5 million years old. Oldest remains of humans found in Awash Valley. Oh my God, because when I was Googling about South Australia and all of that space just been talking about, it came up saying, because obviously that's close to Ayers Rock, right? In Alice Springs, like in Northern Territory there, like all that military base. It's kind of like the top half or 60 to 70% of South Australia. So it's not the coastline, but it's in the centre, which borders Western Australia, Northern Territory and New South Wales, yeah, when you look at an Australian map. And when I was Googling about that, what also came up was these giant remains were found all, I don't know if it's around Alice Springs, but kind of around all that area, and it was all like secret and like giant humans, right? All the remains were found around there too. So that's really interesting. The oldest human remains, you know, like, so there's some deep connection there. And it's interesting when we think about military and army and governments and stuff hiding things from us, which is all starting to surface. The stuff's coming off the shelf, Alina. Yeah, the shit's falling off the shelf. We don't need that crap anymore. We don't need the chemical stuff anymore. Like, it can go away now because the structures of the truth of what's underneath for so long is rising, right? All the chemicals, I'm not saying what you got is chemicals, but you know, that's the symbology that's coming through, that we don't need this mask anymore. We don't need this thing, and that's energetically, that's what's happening even with the cathedral, and like Isis kind of rising underneath there. It's like, you know, all this, Isis is like the most feminine thing you can get. So as I'm talking, and like, it's almost like it's interesting, it's almost like the gold energy from Africa is pouring through that, I'll call it a flight path, to Coober Pedy, to all that area in South Australia. It's almost like it's filling it up or something, or it's not. It's just, I don't know, I'm not sure what that means yet, but that's what's going on. And that gold is almost at the very surface of the earth, that energy that's coming through, healing that. I'm just scanning through these comments, seeing what else is coming through. The Ethiopian highlands are the largest mountain ranges, and the Sof Omar caves contain the largest cave in the continent. Caves of the moon. Caves from the moon. Yeah, we were in a ceremony, amethyst, and we all sensed it was like we were in the moon, right? It was like we were either on the moon or in the moon. Like, the ceremony was held in the moon. No surprise, right? No surprise. Ultimately, there's no surprise. Africa is now going to go through a purification. Yeah, well, it's interesting, you know, if we look at what happened in America after we did the one in November. So I just felt and saw, so whatever was, it was like that gold was pouring in, but I don't know that it was pouring in through that tube into South Australia. It was more that it was just reconnecting or something. It wasn't that it was pouring in, but what just happened then is that same clear water, clear diamond water that I saw under the African shelf there, we'll call it the African land shelf. It's like that, it wasn't feeding into it, it was just reconnecting or something, and all of a sudden that same clear water has just like kind of appeared, and I guess it was maybe, just we're just holding that space. So exactly where I was talking about, so where I'm seeing is all under Ayers Rock in Northern Territory, like all that land, all the way over to Alice Springs, actually underneath, and there's a big shelf. I wish I could draw it, but I can see it on the map of what's going on there. Yeah, it's as far over as Alice Springs. So Alice Springs and Ayers Rock, Uluru, are actually quite a distance away from each other. But that whole area, oh yeah, Coober Pedy is up there. I was thinking it was further down, but it is. So that whole Western South Australia, the whole southern of Northern Territory and into Western Australia. It's almost like, and because when you started talking, Leonie, about the gold mines, and in Australia, the first place that came to mind was Kalgoorlie, right? It's the big gold mine in Kalgoorlie. And it's interesting because when I just said where this actual place is being healed now is actually like right across that far into Western Australia, into like covering Kalgoorlie. So underneath this land here. So yeah, that's a big chunk. And what I just saw when I said it is like, you know, that same diamond clear water just kind of appeared underneath that huge shelf of land in Australia. So we'll just sit with that again. And I was talking about something that I don't remember now because, so the purification period after. So Deborah, when you said that, and I was like, well, what did happen when we did that land healing in the USA in November? Well, Atlantis rose, and I don't know if you guys remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think was it in New York or was it somewhere else where I think it was like a big electrical, or they said it was like an electrical power plant. It didn't blow up, but there was a big flash of blue light in the sky. Remember I posted about it and I was like, oh my God, look what just happened. You know, like that wasn't long after we were like, okay, we did this land healing. And then we're like, oh, Atlantis is rising. And then it's like this blue light hit the sky and was seen like across like America from long distances. Remember all that? And it was like that all, you know, like it was all shared about your city. Yes. I remember because you were like, I saw that. And I'm like, oh my God. Right? Whew. Huge. As a Christian, I find it very ironic that our Lord was denied in the Middle East, and look what is happening there now. Yeah, I think all religion is fighting with one another, and for me, all religion comes back to patriarchal control in some way, shape, or form. They will always fight with each other, no matter what religion it is, no matter who denies who. It all comes back to some form of religion, and no, you're right, I'm wrong. No, you need to do this. No, it's this way. No, it's the same energy. Yeah, is what I feel about it. Just got goosebumps, truth bumps when you mention the stuff about the Indigenous in South Australia being angry. It's huge. It's huge. I've done land healings through northern Western New South Wales and through southern Queensland there. I haven't done any others, haven't felt called to until now. I can't spell Kubapiti, yes, but in their Indigenous language, that means man in whole. Well, hello, exactly what I was just talking about though. Like, so interesting because when I was doing all the research and found the, you know, images and the secret stuff around the North and South poles, that the people who were being flown over there, like I don't know, something about the pilots came out and said it, that the pilots weren't allowed to fly over. It was a no-fly zone over a certain part, and apparently one of them did one day, and it was you could fly in there, right, for spacecrafts, whatever the hell, right? Apparently. And it's just interesting that in that same research was when I found that around Kubapiti and that whole military base, because I've driven, you know, through there and seen the signs, like, do not cross, you'll be persecuted. You'll be imprisoned, right? Like, you're not allowed to go in there. So interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that, Leonie. Okay, so as I'm just talking about that whole South Australia land, there's something in specific around the South Australian land, because it's like there's no fly zone stuff over that as well. Like if you actually Google military camp, military base, South Australia, you'll see how big it is. Like it is massive through there. It's a big space. Yeah, you're so welcome, Leonie. I love having your input. This is what I mean if you guys are getting intuitive messages to share, because this is how it works, right? I can feel there's something shifting under like that whole South Australia space and into Uluru specifically. I don't know what it is, but I can just feel it shifting, and I'm So I'm just sitting with that. I can really feel that. It's actually deep core heart stuff. Excuse me. Yeah, the red dust in Northern Territory and Uluru, all through that WA, like this is red as can be. Yeah, it's so interesting, right? Africa and Australia is similar, the same reddish space. Your selenite went missing. Selenite, spiritual guidance. Hey, Kat. There is a powerful African-American writer, Toni Morrison, who wrote the book Beloved. It was all about the memory of slavery and how spirituality manifests itself as a wound within the psyche. Yes. Powerful novel. Toni Morrison, I know, channels the heart of Africa's deep trauma and pain. How interesting. So the film, when it was released, lasted one day. People could not hold the truth of the trauma. It's big, right? It's like Blood Diamonds, pretty intense too. Sounds like that was more. Russia has gold mines too. Yeah. Sorry, this is like really coming out. Really, it's like really deep. It's really old. And as I just said that, I can feel like it's almost like this cone shape of black energy. If I could draw, it's got covered in goosebumps. If I could draw the earth and these okay, so they've got a round earth here, imagine. And then there's the north and south poles. And then we've got Australia on this top here. And then in this Cooper Pedy, South Australia, Uluru area, it's like a cone shape that comes down into the earth. And it's almost like what I just saw is this north and south pole that connects through the center in whatever way, shape or form. This cone connects to here, but this is just black. That's why I could feel it like, whoa, it's like, sometimes when I do these healings, and I even say this in the distance healings when I'm doing for people individually, please excuse me, I just need to do this. This depth of darkness that I'm feeling, sensing, what I describe it as is, you know, on the movies and stuff or cartoons or whatever, and you see like a witch, for example, and she's dying or something, and like, but this is like this black breath coming out of her or something. It's like that, right? That's the depth of what it feels like. And I can, as I'm saying it too, this is so interesting. As I just said, it's almost like from the ears as a cone shape into the heart. We talk about the heart of the earth, I guess. And I'm so curious. What just came to mind is the serpent of the earth, and so interesting. I've been talking about in depth with the Kundalini energy with a client, and the Kundalini energy is connected to the base chakra, and they're like, when we look at Kundalini and base chakra, and it's like two snakes weaving up, right? It's two snakes weaving up, and it's the masculine and feminine balance, right? And there is a serpent of light that goes from the center of the earth, and it's literally like a serpent of light, yeah? And it's moved from different places, and it kind of stations. At the moment, I think it's in Peru from memory. Before that, and it was in Tibet for 13,000 years. 13,000 is the goddess cyclic number. And then a couple of years ago, or was it in 2012 roughly, it moved from Tibet, it withdrew from there, and then it's gone to Peru, right? And that's through Drunvalo Michel's work, his actual book Serpent of Light. It's actually stationed there, but for some reason that's just come to mind as I'm connecting in and shifting, feeling that. So that's all kind of going on there. Something about fire in Ethiopia. Ayers Rock is the oldest and biggest example of this, of the power of the sun in the world. Lena pulled 3 cards. 2 of them had fire, volcano, and the other one that you mentioned, yeah, fire and volcano. Our reality awareness retreat is being held on an island with a volcano. I am so excited to go and be in that energy. People used to be sacrificed in the volcano to the sun. How interesting. That's deep in the solar plexus now. So that shifted from the ears to the heart. And again, this is why I'm like, I'm so curious about the chakras of the earth. I haven't really researched it, but I've always heard people talking about it in bits and pieces. So much red dust flying around. Yep, the military base is in Alice Springs. Yep. And I'm just pointing out that it's moved to solar plexus, you know, and I don't know what that represents in the earth, but I can fully feel that as a representative of our body now, right? And so when we, like in the full moon ceremony, it was all solar plexus yesterday. For whatever reason, the light frequency came into the solar plexus. Yeah, like a vortex going down to rejoin. Yeah, I say cone shape, but yeah, it's like it is that Fibonacci spiral that I've been talking about has been coming through. How do I protect myself from this darkness I'm clearing now? I know that it is not mine. It is my gift, my duty to clear it. It doesn't hurt me. I just hold space. I know the power of just being present with darkness. I don't need to do anything. This has come from a lot of sessions sitting with my mentor and actually being present with energy like this. It does take practice. It does take a skill, right? But as I'm just sitting with it, it's shifting, yeah? Can feel it deep in my solar plexus right now. But I also know that when I'm being called to turn up and do a land earth healing clearing thing like this, I'm not just clearing it in me. It's not hurting me. I am clearing the land right now. I'm doing Mother Earth a favor or whatever the thing is, right? It's not like I'm doing, like, it's just like, this is just what I do, yeah? And this is what I teach in Trust Your Intuition, yeah? How you become the healing, how you become the vibration of the intuition. You become it. It's not something we do or sit down on our mat and meditate. We are doing this real time in our everyday life, right? This is the core of Trust Your Intuition. How do we do that in everyday life without being wiped by the energy, without being affected by it, without, you know, how do we be the healer to every single thing that we come in contact with, even when we're not physically there? I'm not physically there in South Australia or Africa, but the depth of healing that's going on now. Energy knows no bounds. In Indigenous culture, believes the rainbow serpent created the land here in Australia. How interesting. I saw a full rainbow. If you saw on my story, which might still be on my story if you check it out, a full rainbow appeared as I drove out of my street. I was like, wow, a full rainbow, like a full rainbow. I haven't seen that for a long time. Thank you for sharing that. It was a giant snake. The rainbow serpent. Wow, you guys got that too. Hey, Leanne. You've been painting with black, red and gold powder. Whew. And I painted a picture abstract which people say resemble a volcano and lava recently. Do you know how strong the volcanoes have been? Do you know a week before I released the Reality Awareness Retreat, which is in Lombok in October, which is on the island of a volcano, and that just moved down to my base chakra. So it's just like, and when we look at the human consciousness, when we look, and this is what I say to people, when we come down through our chakras, this is probably why I was explaining it at the start. I'm like, why am I talking about this? You know, I teach from the crown coming down because we need to be grounded in our body, right? We're not like reaching up to spirit and, oh, spirit's up there and heaven's up there and it's someplace outside of myself. Fuck no, we don't. This is why the church burnt down. We don't need temples. We are the temple. Consciousness is shifting to be a projection of out there to we are realizing ourselves. I posted the other day, consciousness is remembering itself. Right? We come from, when we come down, and I teach this in Rapid Ascension Awakening, that the chakras, it is like we are a big vortex spiral, but as we come down, it's a cone shape and it comes into our base. And this is again where we birth reality. We have all these ideas and, you know, we catch all the intuition and we move down through each chakra that represents a different aspect in our life, and we heal and we come down, and this spiral comes down to our base chakra, right? Where we bring all this healing, intuitive stuff and awareness and the Fibonacci sequence of blah, 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 and it comes down and it connects into the physical with a penis coming into the the vagina and the sperm coming into the egg, and then the Fibonacci sequence happens again, and then it's like creating this life, and it bursts out into reality, and then this is like never-ending spiral of that. Ah, I love it. 7 chakras of the earth. Thank you. Let me have a look at this. California. So the first chakra, so they talk from the base up. I just go the other way. The 7th chakra, the Himalayas. Oh, sorry, that's just clearing out now. The 3rd chakra is Uluru, which is solar plexus. Wow. How interesting. No wonder I was just like, it just went there, which is what I said, right? I'm like, this cone shape is going in from underneath there. I wonder what the center of the earth holds in creation relation. What is the axis then? That is a straight line. That is the masculine, and the feminine is that which is the penis coming into the vagina, which is the sperm coming into the egg. Woo! I get excited when we're like at the core. Here we go. There we go. Oh my goodness. Oh, I am covered in goosebumps. Thank you for sharing that, Carrie. The 3rd chakra is Uluru in Australia, which is the solar plexus, because they talk from the base coming up. Holy moly. Thanks for joining live, guys. Oh my God, it's amazing. Oh, I love it when I can feel this. When we come through the darkness, what is there? Pure light and joy. Can you feel that energy now? Oh my goodness. I can. Oh, thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you. You saw a rainbow the day before yesterday? Yes. And Ali, who works for me, texted me as well after the moon ceremony. She was driving to Brisbane. She was like, check out this rainbow. They're all over your house. Like, she was driving out to the highway from behind my house. And she's like, there's like 2 massive rainbows out of your house. And then that afternoon when I left to go out yesterday, there was another rainbow there. I was just like, whoa. Wow. This is one of our life purposes, to heal this world. That's what I always say. If you are an empath, if you are sensitive, if you feel energy, it is your duty and responsibility as a light worker to do something about it. In Trust Intuition, I teach you these skills. I teach you how to not be knocked over by energy. I teach you all of this. Heal the Land specifically goes through what do you do in these sorts of spaces? How do you feel the land energy like this without doing that? But Trust Intuition gives you the skills to heal your own stuff so that then you can go out and do that. And again, Trust Intuition is certified, so you can do the certification. You can get your certificate as an intuitive healer and life purpose activator, because this is what we do. If we sense energy, it is our duty of care to support. This is why we are on earth as shamans, as druids, as, you know, deep past before the pagans, what is it, the Nethanderals, right? All of that. Oh, black, red and gold, rainbow serpents, red dirt, maybe Australian healing is needed. Yes, exactly what we're doing. Yep, we've shifted from Africa and here. That African healing's still going on, by the way, that, you know, that beam, that flight path, I will call it. And we've just dropped into Australian healing there. Central Australian, yep. Cracked it, yep. You know when it shifted, right? You can feel it. So many powerful healing and healers coming out of Australia. Yeah, awesome. This makes me want to cry hearing that responsibility. Yeah, and that's why everyone's like, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? I feel energy, I'm floored by it. It's like, yeah, your purpose is to know how to feel and be with energy without being floored by it. Because then the real purpose flows through of what you're uniquely being called to do, right? Lots of rainbows in Lismore for the past week. Went to take a picture of the moon the night before the full moon and could see rainbows in the clouds. My pick wouldn't pick up the rainbows. When was it? Oh, when was it? Was it on the new moon? It was a couple of weeks ago, and I posted that image of, what's his name? Scott. Oh, he's a famous photographer in Gold Coast. Scott, oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. And I reposted a photo of his because I saw the sky, like the sky lit up and I saw a rainbow, but then I saw his on Instagram. It was like perfect. Like, and I'm like, wow, like I saw that up here and that's 2 hours away. Apparently it was all the way down to Sydney as well. Yeah, good cries good. I knew that. I could feel it. You could feel that in your heart. Especially in the Northern Territory, as I can't let go of the stumble of words you had on Territory. It came out like torture. Yeah, it's been a lot of torture, a lot of slaughterings. I've actually done a lot of work around Aboriginal slaughterings around on the Sunshine Coast. There's a lot of like construction going on at the moment, and it was probably this time last year actually. I did a big land and earth healing about that, and in the healing the earth and land, healing the earth, healing the land, healing course that I just released the other week. That stemmed from that, and also what I did out in northern New South Wales. I'm like, well, I need to put this and teach this to people because, you know, it's like there's so much construction, there's so much like deforestation, and there's so much like rubbish. Like you go to a tip and it's like, what the fuck, man, you know, and we feel powerless because we're like, what do we really do about this? Yeah. And in the healing the earth and land, I show you what to do about that, because like what we've just done of this, it is, you know, like there is something we can do on an energetic level where it's like this kind of like speed up of technology, of roads, of civilization. That's just not going to stop. Like that's just not going to just stop and everyone's going to go back to living in the bush in tribes. Like it's just not going to happen, right? Well, maybe it will, but let's be real here. Let's keep in reality. Technology, there'll be flying cars next. There'll be, you know, and then what are we going to do with all the other cars? Are they going to go in the trash too? Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, what do we do about this? Well, there is something we can do. And it's kind of like the sense that I got, and this is what I teach in Healing the Land. It's like, well, say for example, construction. I'm obviously needing to share this. Like the construction on the highways out there, I'm going to use that example, is that in the highways, like, you know, we're like cutting down trees and destroying forests to put a road through, right? So all of a sudden the land has been raped. The energetics of that frequency of that land has been changed, right? And your responsibility as a healer, as a light worker, as somebody who senses this, is to go and repair that energetic frequency of that land that's just been destroyed and hurt and now is in pain, as animals and stuff being killed, like whatever the story is, right? And how that energetically affects the grids that go out underneath the land to affect the rest of the world, right? So when you know how to reset the energy frequency of like, yeah, the forest has been knocked down and now there's a road through. Okay, how do we reset this energy frequency to support the evolution of humanity, of consciousness, as it continues to grow? It is our responsibility to, you know, tune in and do that sort of energetic grid work to match what humans are doing to destroy the current energetic grid frequency, all that sort of thing. Now, if we step up and do that, things like 5G and everyone's freaking out about this new radiation technology. And I'm like, yeah, guys, come on, like put your skills into fucking action and reset the energy frequency fields where they're destroying it, because this is our duty to do that so that we can keep living here. It is, you know, like as we keep evolving and growing out, you know, our skills are expanding. Like my skills have like exponentially grown in the past 3 to 4 years, especially, right? And the more that I step up and do this, the more that's being shown to me, and the more that I'm doing it, the more it's being shown to me, and the more I'm doing it. Do you know what I mean? And that is evolution. This is the spiral that we are expanding into that is going to keep going. It's not going to go back to the old ways. It is up to us to evolve with it and use our skills and help the earth to reset, to come into that balance again. It's always this rebalancing. Yeah, it's continually evolving and growing and evolving and growing, right? That was a really strong message. Did you get that? Did you get that? Okay, so for those of you who are now feeling the heaviness, who are now feeling like for yourself, Ricky, like I can't let go of the stumble of words you had on Territory and it came out as torture. If you guys have been triggered or stuck on, are really feeling the effects and you can't move it, shift through it, number one, stay with it because it keeps shifting. You just need to sit with it. How long has this been going for, this distance healing? An hour and a half, a good hour probably deep in this work. it takes time. Sit with it. Don't try and analyze it. Oh shit, now this is going on. Like, just be with it. Like, you know, I was just sitting, I was burping, I was like, it's coming out, and then it keeps shifting and changing, right? And then it shifts, right?